you love ball like I do, After Dark's a must listen.
That's where I go to get my hoops fix.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome. What's going on? Monday, March 3rd edition of Field of 68 After Dark. We're in March. We're inching towards the tournament, wrapping up the regular season. And some teams are absolutely rolling. Other teams are on another planet. They've left our solar system completely and are inching out of the picture. We got a lot to get to on the show today. It's also Overreaction Monday on After Dark. Catch us on YouTube. Catch us on X. SiriusXM College Sports Channel 84. I shouldn't have to tell you guys where to find us. It is March, but maybe we have some new audience. Maybe we have some new audience members. So thanks for being with us. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by two good men, Randolph, Childress, Jerel, McNeal. And I'll say this, RC, I hate it had to be you, man. But I've done it. I've done shows after Memphis had heartbreakers in the NCAA tournament. I had to come right to my office 3 minutes afterwards. So at least you've had a 3-hour cooling off period to, get right with yourself.
Is that what we're doing tonight, John? That's what we're doing tonight.
I mean, somebody got to answer for this.
That's what we're doing tonight.
93 to 60. I sympathize a little bit because I don't think anybody could have beaten Duke the way they were playing tonight. But I mean, goodness gracious, you would have liked to see a little bit more fight from Wake Forest given their bubble situation. We'll get to them. Let's start with Duke. Cooper Flagg. Has anybody ever talked about this kid as like the number one pick or anything? Like, has anybody talked about this kid as a, potentially generational player? He did everything today, 28, 8, and 7. Could have had more, RC. This just felt like Duke at its best today.
Man, let's just call it what it is. I think they're as good as defensive team as there is in college basketball. I think they're top 3, right? I mean, you probably can say St. John's. You may add someone else. It could be Auburn. But I think Duke defensively, from being able to switch, and that's without Malik Brown there. I said it. I just didn't think Wake would score enough. I didn't think they could score enough against Duke. It was going to take Hunter Silas to play well, not turn the basketball over, and then to have a secondary or third guy scoring double figures. So, man, what do you want me to say? I was hoping. My fingers was crossed. I was cheering. I was cheering for the Deeks on this one to try to pull it out. But I probably halfway through the first half, I was like, nah, we ain't gonna score enough. And Cooper was just looked like he was. He looked like the best player in college basketball. Did everything, man. I mean, some of the stuff that he does, that like he got a couple of rebounds tonight, and one of them was he came down and helped and tipped it over. It was just one of those. They didn't say nothing about it on the broadcast, and I watched it and I'm going, damn. Like, I don't know what people realize what he just did. Like, he does that quite a bit, man, and he's the real deal. It's very rarely do you receive this type of hype and live up to it, and Cooper Flagg's done that, man. You just gotta tip your hat to that young man and just applaud his effort and how he approaches the game. He's the real deal.
Yeah, I feel like they should have let Wake play with 6 players, bro. They should have just gone and
hey, man,
just
whoa. You being disrespectful right now. All right,
it would have helped.
I'm gonna get on you anyway, because I gotta call Rob and Jeff and find out. You've been on a lot. You've been on a lot lately. I don't know who wife you got naked pictures of, but you've been on hosting here the last couple days. It's been a little too much, man. You've been popping up on my damn screen and Field of 68 hosting. I don't know which one you blackmailing. You got pictures of their wife or something, but it's Rob or Jeff, because you've been hosting, and you're not gonna come over here and disrespect my Deeks like that, man. They done steamrolled everybody. Right. So we not in Cameron.
No, you're right.
Cameron,
you're
right?
Just
I was the
victim.
one that told y'all they was gonna cover. I did say that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I joked in the group chat that you called me and said that Wake Forest was a lock, but you did not, in fact, say that. So I do not want to put words in your mouth whatsoever. But I will say this, Jerel, it did feel like watching that game. Duke had 6 players on the floor because they were defensively on the glass. Like when it comes to reversing the ball, like they were just beating Wake Forest to every single spot today.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think RC hit it on the head, man. They're a very impressive defensive team, and obviously you got to give a major cap tip to John. I think he's done a phenomenal job. This isn't a group of guys when you watch them play, just as in the eye test, where it's like you don't think that they have as many young guys as they do. Like these guys are young, and let's be honest about it. They got what, at least four guys, five guys, maybe even that are going to be gone this year. That are going to end up in being pros, and just a numbers game. Most times when you get units like that and you get that type of talent, it's really hard to get guys to completely buy in, especially on the defensive side of the basketball. But man, this group has done it, man, and they've been impressive. I felt like and I'm not just saying this, but just as far as Cooper Flagg, me watching this year, this is probably the most complete game I've seen him play. He was spectacular in every facet of the game, and just the fact that he doesn't press and he plays the right way, and those guys trust each other offensively. And as bad as the final score ended up looking, I do want to give Wake Forest a little credit because I felt like early on in that game it was a bit of a slugfest. Neither team could really get it going. You could see they was making a concerted effort to try to go after Flagg and not leave Knipple open for open jumpers, and they were kind of daring Sion James to beat him a little bit early on. And to be honest with you, Duke didn't really have a great rhythm offensively early on, and I just remember looking up at the halftime score, and Wake Forest couldn't score it either, but Duke still ended up with 40 points, and I'm just like, man, this just is never a good sign when. Because those guys are going to end up breaking through at some point. It's going to be some mistakes on defense, and they're going to get it going offensively. But for them still to come out of that first half, what I would consider somewhat of a subpar offensive performance in the first half, they still have 40 points on the board, and they forced Wake Forest into like 3 shot clock violations. Like, I mean, with their length, their size, just at every position, they make it really difficult for guys to get even shot attempts off at times. That's what it was like for Wake Forest. Like, it was a lot of possessions. I was just like, man, I don't even know if they're gonna get an attempt up to get the ball on the rim. So, you got to give a major hat tip to John. Man, he's done a great job, especially having so many talented guys. It's just impressive the way those guys buy in on both sides of the basketball.
You know what?
See, they have.
John?
Go ahead.
You know what I'll add to that, guys, is I don't think Shire will get ACC Coach of the Year, and that's only because I think Pat Kelsey will get National Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Right? And I think he deserved it because of what he inherited there. But the one thing I respect about Shire, and we saw this last year, is he demands a standard from these guys, and no matter what their resume is, no matter what their ranking is, if they come in there and they're not up to playing at that, he doesn't play them. And I respect the hell out of that because he's not worried about, hey, if you hit the portal, I'm going to get somebody else anyway. They seem to be the one team that no matter what we talk about it, and I'd say this about every blue blood. Like, and I posed the question because I don't want to say every team, every blue blood, but how many blue bloods have handled the from the preparation leading into this NIL transfer portal era any better than they have? I mean, they've crushed it. I know they're getting the top kids, but if those top kids don't, you look at last year's group, if they don't match up, they don't stack up, they don't live up to the expectation that he wants, they don't play. And that's what happened to this group earlier. I mean, they still got another 4-star kid in Harris on the bench. Darren Harris barely plays, right? He chilling. He got to sit till next year. Isaiah Evans is starting to come around and knock down shots and forcing them to play him. I know Patrick Gumba's been hurt, and he's starting to come around and get time, man. But these guys are a well-oiled machine. I think they're just elite defensively. And if you don't have multiple handlers and multiple guys that can initiate your offense and finish in traffic through length, then you're going to have a problem beating Duke no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I think by this point, it's March 3rd. I think we have said quite literally probably everything there is to say about this Duke team, So like try to come up with like a different synonym for this team is awesome. We'll try to do that. But I guess I would ask Jerel, and they have lost. So it's not like they're just running through this thing undefeated. They have lost, although, one of them was like quite literally the first game of the season. If you're going to beat Duke in this tournament, knowing what we know about them, and how different they are from game one. How do you do it? Like, what are you trying to attack?
I mean, the first thing is that you gotta, like RC just spoke to, you gotta have guys and enough offensive firepower to put up a certain number on the board. And tonight, like you're not gonna beat Duke scoring 60. And that's really just, I'm being honest about that. That's for the other elite defensive teams too. I don't care if it's, Houston or Auburn or whoever it may be. There are some other really good ones. Tennessee, like, you're not going to beat this team putting up 60 points. They're going to find a way with the talent that they have to hit a certain number. So you got to have a certain amount of offensive firepower as well, and I think you got to have some kind of game plan to slow down Flagg and Knipple. I think those two guys are like the head of the snake for them. Obviously, it's hard doing with both of them being willing passers, but Flagg as of right now, like he shot it great tonight. He's not a guy that's just hoisting up a whole lot of threes. He's putting a lot of pressure and stuff on the rim. So I think you got to do one or two things. Either you gotta shut their water off and try to slow those two guys down. I know they do a lot of two-man game stuff with them as well too, or you just kind of gotta essentially take everybody else away and say, okay, I'm gonna make these two dudes go get 70 or 80 points between the two of them to beat me. And I haven't seen anybody try that yet. I've seen them do some other stuff trying to dare some of these other guys to shoot. But, man, when you got really good players and they're just getting wide open shots, man, it's hard for them to just, the law averages is eventually way out. Guys are going to make a certain number of shots. And they're smart enough. John does a good enough job just scheming and doing some things tactically just to make sure that they're still getting paint touches. They're still getting looks at the rim. He draws up a lot of lobs and things like that coming in and out of the halves or ATOs. But you gotta have some kind of the talent to match up with them at some point. But they're gonna be a tough out. But I think for sure whoever beats them, man, it's gonna have to be a team that gets really hot. Obviously, that could change the course of a game if you get a team that gets really hot from three, especially early on, or if you just put the pressure on them and get them to a point, like I said, where they do have young guys, and when March rolls around, it's gonna be a lot of those guys' first time competing in those type of atmospheres and environments. You got to try to get an early lead on them and just hope that the pressure kind of weighs on them and that those guys shrink in the moment, which is not necessarily the best plan, but that's the only way I could really see them going from making a deep run this March or not making a deep run this March.
Yeah, it just feels like their floor is just so damn high. Like I don't even think we're entertaining a Duke loss. I mean, I know they play a 40-minute college basketball game and shots go in and shots don't, but I genuinely feel like we're not even entertaining a loss about this team until maybe even the Elite Eight. I mean, I don't believe that it's possible. I mean, I just don't. Houston and Kansas, it's a 2-point game. 19 seconds left. Obviously, Kansas is going to be in foul mode here, trying to extend this game. So we will keep you updated on this one as it goes final a little bit later. Houston, obviously, on that amazing run, 2 years into the Big 12 for Kelvin, Sampson, Houston, and they've won it 2 years in a row. So we'll touch on that. Although, again, I think we've kind of said everything there is to say about him too. But we'll do that when that game goes final there in the second block. UCLA gets it done, 73-69, very nip and tuck game, back and forth all night, but they win 73-69. This UCLA team, RC, they just grind, man. That's what they do. They grind. It's really ugly most of the time, but they're so comfortable in these, and this was a little more high scoring than normal, but they're comfortable in whatever the situation is. And they found a way to get it done tonight. What do you make of this UCLA team and their kind of path here in the tournament?
First, again, you got to give credit to Mick Cronin. I mean, Mick Cronin just figures out a way. He has a pulse on his team, man. We meaning nationally media, everybody crushed him, right? When he called out his team and he called them soft and everything else, and these guys responded. And because obviously he has a connection with his group, he has his pulse on his staff and his players, that they responded to that. So, most teams would have imploded with that. So credit to him for doing that. But we know that defensively they're going to control tempo and pace and keep themselves in the game. Whether they score enough in those games is another issue. But credit to him, man. They figured it out. I like UCLA. I like their team. just again, how I don't have them making a deep run in the tournament, but it would not shock me. He's just been there before. He's just a hell of a coach to me. Um, and I was actually hoping Northwestern would get it just as a bubble team. I'm cheering for the bubble teams right now. So knowing Collins, for a really long time, I was cheering for him to get this game so they can try to get a chance for Northwestern to get in. I think he's a hell of a coach, and he's done a great job at Northwestern. I know it's been hard there, but he's done a great job with that program as well, man. So this was one of those games. I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't cheering for Northwestern because they were outside the bubble trying to get in, like my Deeks. But Mick and his crowd, his team has done a hell of a job. Credit to those guys.
What about you, Jerel? What kind of run can UCLA go on? Are they a team that could potentially make a second weekend here? What are we talking about with the Bruins?
I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, depending on how matchups fall and what happens, just as far as the seeding. But RC was on point with that. Like, they've kind of turned this thing around. Obviously, a lot of national headlines with the way he was coming after some of those guys early on. But like you said, they responded, and they've given themselves and played themselves into the tournament, giving themselves new life comfortably. But this has been one of the things I feel like they've just struggled with, especially with this new format of the Big Ten. Is going across the country and winning road games, and just visually, this was a weird game to see, a conference game with Northwestern and Big Ten, UCLA playing at Northwestern. But they were able to grind it out. They had complete control of the game. I got ready to turn the channel and forgot it was March for a second. And then I turned back and it was like a one possession game. So they
tried to
it
give
out,
it
made
back.
it a little bit closer than they did. They made it a little bit closer than
They tried to give it back
at the end. But again, like RC said, man, I just got a ton of respect for Coach Collins, man. The way that he gets these dudes on Northwestern to scrap, like, man, those dudes play so damn hard, and they're in so many games just because of their energy levels and the way that they compete, and just the way they believe in each other.
When they're not the most talented team at that too.
Yeah,
right? They're never the most talented
they're not
team.
close.
Right.
They're not close,
right.
man, and it's that's impressive, and I know that's just something kind of reading between the lines that we see. It's just like, man, and not to mention just a ton of the injuries and stuff that they've dealt with as well this year, man. And we got a couple kids up that way, man, and I'm just proud of those dudes with Martinelli and KJ Wyndham starting to get some burn here, man. He's gonna be a really good player for them for a long time. A true freshman. He's been stepping up lately as well too. But obviously a good road win for UCLA, and another heartbreaker for Northwestern, man. Just the opportunity to get another staple win for them that they came up a little bit short on. But it was a good game.
Yeah, I think the key for UCLA, because I've watched them quite a bit. I think the key is Eric Daly Jr. He's got a level where he can step out, make the three, and look, again, I know that's not how UCLA wants to win. I mean, they want to grind it out. They want to make it really uncomfortable. But
make shots.
I do. Yeah, like I think having a guy like that, and then my guy, Adai Mara, he gets better every game. Like, I love this kid coming off the bench.
I mean, a double off the bench. How can you not like that? The other thing is Sky Clark, fellas. I mean, you look back at from what he's done to this team and what he's meant to this team. Coming from Louisville, where we know it was a disaster, right?
Yep.
Like where he's has he transferred and come through, he's been the best guy, I think, of all those guys that have transferred in. Most of those guys have struggled, and he, when guys lose at the rate and the level that those guys lost at Louisville a year ago, to see him make that transition to be a part of a winning program and be a point guard of a winning situation is a credit to him, because most of those guys have struggled, because losing at that rate just takes its toll, man. And again, long way to go. Nobody's expecting UCLA to run have a deep run here, but again, we thought this team was dead and buried. Everybody crushed them, and that's what I think the biggest thing it says about this group. They're getting, anything happens when you get in. We know that. I think from a seeding standpoint, they need the right matchup, like so many teams would do. But they got up off the mat, man. They got to stand and 8 count, got up off the mat, competed their ass off for themselves and for their coach.
Kelvin Sampson is now 7-3 head-to-head against Bill Self. I mean, I'm not sure if anybody in the country has a record as good as that against Bill Self. Sweeps Kansas. We'll touch on that, what it means for Houston, and maybe if there was a little glimmer of hope in how Kansas competed in this game. I'll ask these guys when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
Quick housekeeping note here, because the conference champion could be decided in the next minute or two. North Texas leads Wichita State 68-66, 7.9 left. Wichita State ball. If Wichita State walks this off here, or sends it into overtime, obviously, and wins, that will seal it for Penny Hardaway and the University of Memphis in the regular season. They will be the AAC regular season champions for the first time since joining the league. Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. Now, that sounds bad. It sounds bad, but they shared the league with Kelvin Sampson's Houston. Like, he's going to win. He's winning the damn Big 12. He's winning the Big 12. He comes to the Big 12. They say, "Oh, who are these? Who are these guys coming from the American? They're going to come into the best conference in basketball and think they're going to step in and compete." Not only have the Houston Cougars competed, ladies and gentlemen, they have won the Big 12 2 straight years. 65-59 final tonight over Kansas. Wichita State going for the win. No good. That is it. So that's final there, 68-66. But 65-59 here for Houston, a regular season sweep of Kansas, RC. Already in hand for Houston was the Big 12, but it really says something, right? When you sweep a brand that was so dominant. I know this isn't the typical Kansas that we're used to, but a regular season sweep is damn impressive for these Cougars.
They're just not letting their foot off the gas. You know, there is no sleepwalking through a game. I mean, they came out tonight. Both teams played well. Both teams played hard. I thought with LJ Cryer picking up his fourth foul, you know, gave Kansas a little bit more momentum because Houston's offense got stagnant because he was carrying them in the first half offensively. So without him, you know, they were struggling to score a little bit. But defensively, man, they get after it. They force turnovers. I thought Kansas played them tough too. You know, this game went down to the end, and you know, I've learned nothing about either team. I'm still high on Houston. I think they're one of those teams that have a chance to make it to San Antonio. I don't feel that way necessarily with Kansas. I don't know if Kansas feels that way about Kansas, but they're still going to get in the tournaments. They're still going to be a tough ass out. They're going to compete. They're going to play hard. I'll be more interested in what Kansas looks like next year. It'll be more my thought. I know I hate to look past it this year, but I just don't. Kansas, because it's Kansas, it's a blue blood. It's a championship or bust. It feels like it's more of a disappointment because this team was preseason #1 in the country, right? And they've struggled to live up to that for a ton of different reasons and everything else. And just feels like the season's just weighed on these guys all year long. With, you know, Bill Self having issue a statement the other day, it's just at times the expectations or the failure to live up to those expectations seems to overwhelm you. And this team has struggled this year with it. They didn't hit the portal. They didn't. Their portal guys didn't crush it the way so many other programs guys have struggled with fit. So I'd be curious to see what this offseason looks like for the Jayhawks because of the turnover of their roster. With Hunter Dickinson moving on, this roster is going to look so much different next year. And I know, like I said, I keep talking about next year because I just think they're going to get in the tournament, but this team just seems like the weight of the expectations of being number one has just been too much, and they failed to live up to it, and I think they've struggled with it all year long.
They were a 9.5-point underdog, Kansas, which was the largest point spread as an underdog since March 2000 for them. I saw that stat on social media earlier today. So, I mean, it just kind of speaks to, I guess, Jerel, two things. One is Houston's dominance at home, but also, this Kansas team has undeniably been a major disappointment. But I guess I would just ask you this piece of it. Now that they are in a different role, they're coming at this where they've been completely humbled, right? They're not a preseason number one anymore. They've lost everything. They're sitting here with double-digit losses. And like RC said, they're going to be in the tournament. I'm asking this not because I believe it, but I'm just curious if you think that role switch for them can be beneficial going from that team at the top to now literally nobody has any expectations for them, but they still have the same dudes on the roster.
Yeah, and I think the one good thing about it, more than anything, John, just from a player standpoint, and with the expectation weighing so heavy on them, and I think RC kind of hit it on the head with that again, man. It's just you can almost see these guys almost like they're deflated. That for a lot of these guys, probably they got through the transfer portal, it might be a little bit too much for them with the expectations, and that they almost just they need a breath of fresh air. But the biggest thing, like we said, is just the fact that we know they're going to be in the tournament. It's going to be a postseason for them. They're down and out right now. I would be interested to know. It may be sooner, but when was the last time we went out of a regular season when Kansas wasn't in the top 25 as well, too? But expectation is low, but you guys at the end of the day, you still got hope. You still got a great roster. You got talented guys on your roster. You're gonna have at least probably one or two very winnable games in the tournament. You essentially just hope that you catch fire at the right time and something clicks with these guys, and that they can kind of just let some of the expectations and stuff go and kind of play the villain role out of it. We suck. Everybody knows this has been a complete disaster this year, just as far as what they were expecting from our roster and our NIL budget, whatever else you want to throw in there. But hey, we got however many games left. A lot of those guys aren't going to be back next year. Like we talked about, Hunter Dickinson is going to be gone, and that's going to change the entire landscape of their team. And some of those other guys are going to be gone as well too. And obviously they got a major player coming in next year, at least just on the recruiting class side. Let's just see what we could do with this last month of the season that we have, and hope that you can kind of catch fire. I mean, I would look at it as it's a low risk, high reward. That's how I would look at it as a player, and just go into it with essentially no burden on our shoulders. Man, let's just go hoop. Let's just go hoop and try to play the best we can, play as hard as we can, and see what the hell happens.
Their guards look like situation good things. I would ask you that. Their guards look like they're pressing a little bit, because with the success that they had last year and all those returning guys, they tend to get a pass. Fair or unfair, it seems like the three guys, Storrs, Griffin, and Mayo, get the brunt of the responsibility placed upon them. And it's unfair. Let's just be clear with that. Let me be clear with what I'm saying. But it just feels like everybody's dumping, all right, this season hasn't been that good, and they're dumping it on those guys because they feel like everyone else was a part of the Kansas success, and they are expecting those three guys to come in and fill the voids and be consistent shooting the basketball, doing all those things. And when they've struggled, man, it's just their inconsistencies being there in Kansas. Everything was highlighted. It just snowpiled on those guys, man. And tonight, Griffin started, didn't score. Stores only 2 points off the
Coy
bench.
saved him.
Mayo
I mean,
had
Coy
7
kept him in the game.
Just-
I mean,
Yeah,
Coy was the only one that made shots. Yeah,
shots. Yeah.
he was the only one that made shots. But I mean, but RC, I think you hit it on the head, and that is unfair, especially when it's guys who are coming in and they haven't worn a jersey. In my opinion,
Right.
Just
They
the same
struggle
way
with
that we
the
talk about
adjustment.
those guys. Yeah, they're trying to figure out to a certain aspect of where do I fit in, because that the offense is essentially centered around Hunter Dickinson. So we trying to play inside out first. Some of these guys were starting and not starting because we were making shots and then we weren't making shots. But just the same way that we're blaming them, a guy like tonight, DeJuan Harris didn't really have any impact on the game, and that's a guy that's been there forever as well too. It's not just all on those transfer portal guys.
Right.
It's all of those guys collectively trying to figure out how we can play together and successfully have some type of cohesion where we look like a team, and it's not just one guy's gonna make shots one night and he's gonna be the only one, because I think that's a huge part of why they struggle. Even tonight, it's starting to become cool to see the matchups and the mind games and the scheming between Bill Self and Calvin Sampson, because we know the way that they play Dickinson, but a lot especially in the first half, he knew the double team was coming, that they weren't just gonna let him play freely in the post, and he took a lot of quick shots. He was obviously trying to go quickly and get his attempts up and be aggressive fast. And if he wasn't, he was trying to string the defense out and then make the cross-court skip passes to try to get other guys open looks. But that's not just an easy way to play for guys who are rhythm players. And a lot of those guys, especially a guy like A.J. Storr, coming from where he was at last year, he's not a guy where it's just all right, man, stand in the corner. And when we toss it to you and you open, we expect you to knock it down at a 40% clip. He was never a shooter to me. He was always more of a scorer, you know what I mean? And he had the ball in his hands in these other situations and other teams that he played on. So I don't think it's completely fair. But again, we talk about this all the time too, guys. It's about fit, not just names and guys. I know this guy can play, but how these guys going to kind of mesh together? And, they took a swing this year and missed at the end of the day.
Yeah. And they'll have a lot more at bats. So that's the beauty of it, right? It's Kansas basketball. They're going to get to the plate. You know what I mean? So life will go on. RC, I want to ask you about Houston. I know I feel like we've talked about Houston every Monday. Every time you and I have done the show, I feel like we've said something. We've been glazing Houston for about 3 weeks now. But now
glazing.
we've been glazing Houston
that's what the kids call it, John.
Hey, I gotta stay young, man. I gotta try to stay young. But
hey, man,
people
when kids said that to me, man, I felt disrespected. So what the hell does that mean, man?
Come on, bro. You ain't been out of the game that long, bro.
I said, yeah, I ain't know. I'm getting old, John. I'm getting old.
Damn. But RC, that when people talk about Houston and they their perception of them in the NCAA tournament, fair or unfair, is that I can't quote unquote trust them. I can't they don't shoot the ball well enough, or whatever the case may be, right? That's usually what you hear. But this, I think people have realized this. It's on them if they haven't. But this is Kelvin's best offensive team he's ever had from a shooting standpoint, right? Now you got Uzan coming on, so for those people that may doubt Houston because of that ineptitude in years past, are they about to have a rude awakening come tournament time?
I just don't think it's as simple as saying that. I know even on this show, we've had a bunch of us kind of debate about where they feel about Houston. I think this team is better offensively than the Houston teams have been in the past. And they still got a guy that when they're struggling, like today, they were struggling to start the game and LJ Cryer went off. He's still a guy that has the experience, has the tournament experience, that can put this team on his back offensively. The one thing about it is they don't have to be great offensively, because you're not. You're not playing a great offensive game against Houston. They defend that well. And I think it's them and this Duke and we said St. John, and there's a few other teams I think that we can say, maybe one other team we can say probably the best defensive teams in the league. Houston belongs in that conversation. Today, they forced 20 turnovers a night. You're not going to play a free-flowing, pretty style of basketball playing against them. They're going to defend their ass off. Then they may not make shots, but you sure as hell not making shots. You just got to hope you can make more than them. But this is the best offensive team they have. I like Malik Wilson too. I just think he has a gear and a speed to him. He's in the starting lineup tonight. I like his game. I like what he brings to them. He gets to his spots. I just think this team is just poised, man, to make a run. I'm actually cheering for him, to be honest, because I think Coach Sampson deserves to get that monkey off his back as far as being great and being close and not winning it. I think he deserves it, and I think that much of him. But this team I think will make a hell of a run toward. They'll be a tough ass out, tougher than I think they've ever been.
Yeah, I will say, like, Coach of the Year awards, man. I always struggle with them a little bit because Kelvin's got no chance to win it. Like, he's not going to win it because the expectation nationally is that, well, of course, you're going to be a top 2 seed. Of course, you're going to be. First of all, he has to build that expectation. So he has to put his program in position consistently to get that type of respect in the preseason, Jerel. And then, oh, by the way, like, he's got to go out and do the shit. So and I realize that, you know, he has the players, but again, who gets the players? Who's responsible for getting the players? Who's responsible for developing the players? So again, I know that he's not going to get the award. I know. Look, Pat Kelly's done a great job. A lot of coaches have done great jobs, but it's just, to me, it's in some ways harder to meet massive expectations than it is to overachieve. And I just kind of feel like, and that's whether it's college, NFL, whatever, I just feel like we never give the best coach of the year that award, and I kind of have a problem with it.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that too, John, is just that at times the general public gets bored with it. And especially when you're doing it consistently. Like, coaches that do a great job consistently, they kind of get the shaft a little bit, because then it's always that new coach who's either taking over for a first couple of years in the program and finally breaks through and has a great year, and kind of just, you can see the shift to him turning the program around. Or like you spoke to, like a Pat Kelly. Like, he's done a great job, absolutely, but the job that a guy like Kelvin Sampson does at a school like Houston, it definitely goes under the radar and doesn't get talked about enough, especially the fact that when we say this too, like, okay, does he have dudes? Does he always have dogs? Absolutely. But let's not kid ourselves either. This isn't a school that's just turning out lottery pick after lottery pick either. He's not.
I think he gets hurt though. I think you guys would agree to this, right? He gets hurt this year because he was returning some guys, right? I think, you guys would agree. So we kind of expected them to be good. Did we ever think that they would be this good offensively? Because we thought they struggled with that. So to your point, I agree with what you're saying. I just think we expected them to be good. They're better offensively than we thought, right? But we expected them to be good. So
he won the Big 12 2 straight years as a newcomer.
Right. RC, let me ask you this. Did we think they would be, like you just said that earlier in your segment, you think they're better than they've been offensively?
Yes.
Did any of us expect that without Shed?
No, when they started the year, that's what we were saying, right? We were like, they're missing Shed. That's the only problem. Remember early on they lost, was it Alabama, Auburn, and they lost to somebody else, and we was just like, look, that's all they're missing. They're missing that guy. And he was everything, right? He had that team on his back, and he meant so much to him. We thought it'd take some time, but let's give credit to Milos Uzan, man. That kid,
bro,
he got better.
He's balling.
He's got better, man. That kid has stepped up. He's answered the bell. His coach talked trash about him and said how soft he was. He ain't soft no more. Like, he's figured it out. He's doing his part. He's added depth to that team now, man, and they're just good. They're good. I just think the guard play, they're going to be there. It would not surprise me, depending on how the brackets lay out. I expect to see Houston and San Antonio. I just do.
I don't care what the bracket looks like.
They're
going to be in San Antonio. They're going to be in San Antonio.
Because the teams that we think could beat them are going to be
we'll be there with us.
Anyway, so they win. Right. They're not going to see it until San Antonio anyway.
Exactly.
So
That's
I
exactly
agree with
right.
You. I didn't feel that way a year ago. We talked about that because they could struggle so much offensively. We've said it with Houston, man. They would be the one team I'd be okay with winning it this year, just from a fan. He just deserves it. I think that much of him. I think he's a hell of a coach. He never gets the credit he deserves. And he wouldn't surprise me if he's one of these guys that some of these programs that are open right now. I'd literally call down to Houston and fly down in front of him, and I'd hand him a blank check. And I'd stay for the weekend. He'd have to tell me no Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm gonna be there the whole weekend with a blank check, and he's gonna have to tell me no. Whatever you need.
If you're not doing
private
that,
jet flights, whatever you need, I'm like if I'm the AD at Indiana, I'm going back. Hey man, I'm sorry, I wasn't here when this happened. I'm a
had nothing to do with me.
I ain't got nothing to do with this.
Hey, we're talking about naming rights for the court. I mean, we'll make it right.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. That dude just wins.
We'll
man.
make
The
it
dude
right
just
in
wins.
Bloomington. No, I agree. You're not doing your job as an administrator if you don't at least check in on that. I don't think he would necessarily leave, but you got to try.
No.
You got to see.
But he's going to tell me no. He's going to have to tell me no, and he's going to have to tell me 3 times.
I like
I'm going to ask him. I'm sticking around.
I like it. I like it. All right. Hey, it's Overreaction Monday, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to determine whether these tweets that have been sent in are overreactions or if they're fair. These guys will weigh in when we get back. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark.
There is no sport in America that is more difficult to follow than college basketball. It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for injury updates, recruiting news, and transfer portal additions that actually matter. For just $50 a year, get access to the same information that your favorite team's coaching staff is subscribed for. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help you with that. Would you be surprised to find out that the Field of 68 is home to more than 35 podcasts? More than 25 team-specific podcasts that are hosted by the people that know what fans want the most. The Goodman and Humble podcast, the DTF podcast, the A10 Insider podcast, and the Mountain West podcast. But wait, there's even more. The Field of 68 will be launching the ACC Insider podcast this year. Subscribe to this channel and come along for the ride.
It's Monday. That means it's Overreaction Monday here on Field of 68 After Dark. We're going to do the afters as well. So everybody here, I was just told by Jeff Goodman, is going to receive 15% increase in pay for the show. So congratulations. Congratulations. That's straight from Jeff Goodman. Okay, what we got, Tom? What are we reacting to here? Victory vibes. Besides Auburn, the Florida Gators are the SEC team that goes the deepest in the tournament. RC.
I think there's facts. I think it's true.
No cap.
I don't think that's an overreaction. Yeah, that would be that. They would be the team that I would pick. After Auburn, I think Florida makes the deepest run. Over Tennessee,
right?
Alabama. Yeah, I like them over Alabama.
Yeah,
I do.
I do too. Tennessee, I just like them because of the defensive side of the basketball. But I definitely don't think that's overreaction. I think Florida's a sneaky team that can, while we talking about all these other SEC teams, they can definitely get to San Antonio. They got the roster to do it. I've liked their roster for 2 years, and they made major strides and improvements on the defensive side of the basketball, because that's really all they were missing last year. They could score with anybody. I love how fast they play. They like to get up and down. They got bigs. They got great guard play. So I don't think it's an overreaction at all.
I mean, yeah, that's partly going to be, I think, decided Wednesday. Florida and Bama play on Wednesday, don't they? I mean, it's funny that we just, we don't really even consider Tennessee. It's like, what does Tennessee have to do to get some love around here? I mean, I do kind of feel like we're hating on Tennessee a little bit, not giving them their just due. RC. I mean, because they
remind you of Houston, right? You know they're going to be good defensively. You question, can they score enough to win? And they belong in that same conference. They're right there, man. I mean, when we talk, they're in that list of teams.
Yeah, I mean, all these teams.
It's just what do you like, right? It's what do you like? And if you're asking me, I just like Florida's roster in situation better. That's all. I just like Florida guards. They're not relying upon one guy. You know, Clayton has been playing like as good as any guard in the league. They got 3,000-point scores, 3 guys that they can rely on to have a big game that can carry them offensively. They're frontline guys. They're just interchangeable. They don't lose when they go to their bench and bring these guys in. It's no drop off, is what I say about Florida. Why I like them so much. Right? They're not relying upon a guy where this guy has to play well. Like they're not built that way, and that's why I'm so big on them. It's no disrespect to everyone else, but Tennessee or Alabama or whatever. It's just like I said. I'm gonna have to like or disagree. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I won't argue with you. Although I think the gap is, you know, they're pretty small, that gap, because you have Bama and Tennessee. But yeah, I would agree with you just how complete they are. All right, what's next, Tom? Tyler says, if I have to watch Nebraska play basketball in the first 4, I will lose it. Mickey Mouse version of UVA last year. Get Nebraska out of my tournament. RC, are they in your tournament?
No. I don't think they're in.
So problem solved.
I don't think they're in. You I don't know. You feel any different?
Not really, but I mean, I just know how this goes. I mean, we're gonna get to the end of the end of the season, and they're teams that probably don't belong because they're in a power league are gonna get in, and we're just gonna have to suck it up and deal with it. And I think Nebraska is probably one of those teams. But yeah, like watching them, I've never felt like, and even when they had that little dead cat bounce there against Oregon, and I can't remember the other team they beat, I was like, this team is just not it. I don't. There's nothing that passes the eye test. What about you, Jerel?
No, I'll say this. No, I don't have them in. I would not protest for them to get in either, but it's an overreaction because they're not as bad to watch as Virginia last year. Let me just be clear about that.
Fair. That is fair.
That was bad.
Hoiberg does a great job too, man. Designing stuff for his guys to get a ton of talent. Bryce Williams, I love. I love his game.
He can score it. Yeah,
he can score it, man. So they got a chance. They're not boring to watch. So I don't like to make that UVA last year comparison to them, man. They're not as bad.
That's disrespectful.
Do they deserve to get in? I don't know if I'd say that, but we'll see. They still got a chance. They got some work to do in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Tom, what's next? Nick, there will be 4 Mountain West teams in the tournament. Is this like that's just like a statement of fact, or I mean, what do you think, RC?
Let's talk about it. Who we got?
We got Utah State,
New Mexico,
San Diego State, New Mexico. So who's the 4th? Who am I blanking on?
Will it be Boise State?
Boise State.
That's it.
Boise State.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Feels correct. It doesn't really feel like it's an overreaction.
Yeah, I think it'll be 4. I don't think that's an overreaction.
Although we know what it will be,
but it's not an overreaction.
My only issue is like we just know what it is with them.
Somebody's got to get in there. Somebody's got to get in there right now. We're talking about shit. If the season started today, you got 3 ACC teams in. You got what? How many? 4 Big East teams in.
Oh, plus you got Colorado State. I mean, they got to be in the mix at some level, right? You got Utah State, Colorado State, Boise State.
Somebody's got to get in, right?
I mean, they might get. I
San
mean, 4 is
State got a chance.
No, they might get more than that. They could very well get 5 teams in.
Yeah,
I think they'll get 4. I think they'll get 4.
I mean, San Diego State beat Creighton, Houston. Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely in.
They'll get in.
I would say.
They're in. I'd be shocked they would not.
yeah,
They're
I
in.
mean,
So yeah, I guess they would. I guess they're getting 40.
but look,
For
this
sure.
is hey, if you want, look, this is not the Mountain West Book Club that you're dealing with right here. Okay, like you don't come to us for that because first of all,
They want us to
already
hope.
know what it is.
They want us to beg to get them in or something.
Yeah, I
Feed
mean,
the narrative.
you know, we know what it is about the Mountain West. When they get to the tournament, it's over. You don't win. You don't make runs. Except San Diego State. They've made. I'll give them credit. They've at least made a title game. The rest of them though have vastly underachieved. All right, what's next, Tom? This man will take us to the promised land. That's Pat Kelsey, everybody's coach of the year. Which again, the job he's done, given the injuries and the job he inherited, I'm not gonna cry about it. Okay, but the promised land, RC, will he take Louisville to the promised land? He didn't say a time frame either. I think he just kind of meant open ended, maybe.
I think he will. Everything about what he does just fits. He fits Louisville. He's an energetic guy. He's a passionate guy. One, he can coach his ass off. His system is fun to play in. He's recruiting and he works his ass off. He's going to work to do all those things. He got a great staff of guys with him. I think it's just a matter of time. This thing in Louisville will just continue to get better and better and better. He hit on the portal this year. That's something that he's going to have to continue to do because they crushed it in the portal when so many teams that have not, being honest. Some of the teams that we've expected to be good in past, we just talked about Kansas, and the addition of those guys didn't fit. They get the fit wrong a lot of times. A lot of schools have gotten that wrong this year, and it hurts you when you don't. And for Pat Kelsey to lose his best player and still be a top 25 team, essentially creating an entire roster in the portal is impressive, man. So I got nothing but praise for him. I think he's the national coach of the year, in my opinion. I said that. I think it's why Shire won't win ACC coach of the year, because I think he deserves that as well. I think it's just, I do expect him to take whatever you think the promised land is, if it's Final Four, if it's a national championship. Yes, I think Pat Kelsey gets you there.
But see, like real quick, I'm just gonna piggyback off that, and I'm not arguing with you. I'm just throwing these guys out. Like, understand who's not winning coach of the year, right? Todd Golden's not winning coach of the year. I mean, what a job that guy has done in Florida. I mean, nobody was talking about Florida like this. Nobody was talking about Florida as a one. I mean, they were a preseason top 25-ish team, right? But nobody was talking about Florida being as dominant as they are and challenging. And they're not challenging for the SEC anymore, but they're in the mix, obviously, as a one seed, as that last one seed. I mean, Bruce Pearl, the man has done an unbelievable job at Auburn, winning the SEC. That's all I'm saying. There's so many coaches that have objectively done fantastic jobs.
May, we got to add May.
Yeah, Dusty May.
Michigan.
May,
Michigan.
he had a bad day yesterday. But yeah, I mean, first
but
year on
no,
the
overall
job,
for the year, you're talking about
sure,
a guy taking over a job. I think sometimes you hold it against guys, right, wrong, or indifferent, right? I think Bruce is in that situation with Shire, meaning we knew they were going to be good. How good were they? It's like Coach Sampson. We knew Houston was going to be good. We don't need to know how good. They get penalized for that, but we did not know Michigan was going to be this good. We did not know Louisville was going to be this good. And that's why I think those two programs are why they'll get national coaching of the year, because they took, essentially revamped rosters and made took their programs to be top 20 teams when we was not expecting them to be very good.
Rick Pitino
yes.
at St. John's.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
he's not coach of the year. I mean, and again, he's such a veteran that it's one of those things where it's like, we expect you to have good seasons, but damn, man, I hate it. I hate that, because you can only give one award out, for the nation. College basketball is so tough, because there's so many
college,
teams.
Man. I was about to say that. Yeah, it's tough.
Your conference is that's why in some ways I think the conference coach of the year matters a little bit more, because that's really the gauge of you know, who did the best job, right, in the league. They usually hand that to the champ. So,
I don't always subscribe to that because I think you got a lot of homers in a lot of leagues and stuff like that too, and they'll pick the favorite or whatever. But you know, there's no wrong answer in any of those guys if they all deserving of it.
Jerel, you think Pat Kelsey is going to lead Louisville to the quote unquote promised land?
I think depending on how you view this thing, he might have already done it after some of the trials and tribulations that they've had over the last couple of years.
They won more than two games.
Perspective is everything, John. Perspective
no doubt.
is everything. Like,
No doubt.
I gotta imagine that the fan base is fired up, man, and they like, man, hell yeah, we back in the NCAA tournament. We got a competitive.
It's been so good, RC.
He got a hot spot.
You know, it's been so good, RC.
He got a hot spot.
You know,
He
the
trying to
good
host
people,
damn podcast
the good
from hot
people.
spot.
The good people at Xfinity Memphis work very hard around the clock to keep me on the air. Do you have a toast of the night, man? Or are we taking it to the after?
Come on, man. I got a toast. My toast gonna be to Vandy, man. Well, Byington has done it with that group this year, man. We talked about over the weekend a big win. They had to have it. A team that was on a bubble. They got an overtime win against Missouri, man, and Coach Gates and his group, who I thought had a hell of a year this year themselves. But you know, when you win and when you gotta have it done and punch your ticket in, and I think they've done it in first year. We talk about a guy somebody would throw a bag at. I think it's him. So that's me.
Jerel, real quick, toast of the night.
I got my boy Jay Sean Stevenson, Cleveland State. He just got announced that he won Horizon League Freshman of the Year for the year. So
dig that. All right, we're going to kick this to the afters. We got a few things to touch on, including our most impressive wins from the weekend. So stick with us. We're going to the afters for Randolph Childress, for Jerel McNeal. See you in just a second in the afters.
We're live. It's the afters. Hit the chat.
I'm not getting close to any bear.
My career high on the court is 28.
Back like cook crack. This is the afters here on Field of 68. It's not after dark anymore. This is now officially the afters. I'm John Martin, joined by Randolph Childress and Jerel McNeal. Now, let me ask you this, RC. Like, we put your social media up here. Like, you don't even use it. You don't even like you don't pop out on. You know what I mean?
I don't do what
you
now?
have you don't pop out. I don't see you tweeting. I don't see you posting. Are you on Instagram or Blue Sky or where you at?
I do. You didn't want to see my last post when I was at Memphis hanging out with my buddy. You don't want to see me put that post out there.
That was your buddy. That was your buddy. You're right.
Yeah,
Real friendly. Hey, RC was letting his buddy put his jacket on and everything. I mean, it was
got you.
So you want me to post about that? Is that what you're telling me, John?
That's definitely got to stay off of social media. So I do appreciate your patience there for sure. All right, a couple of things that we need to touch on. Most impressive wins from the weekend, RC. Who was your most impressive win?
Well, I said Vandy. I didn't think there were a ton of upsets or anything like that. I thought Auburn,
like none.
Kentucky.
I don't think there were any real ones.
I thought Auburn going to Kentucky and winning the way they won was big. But again, like I said, I thought Vandy's win was big. I mean, trying to punch your ticket and against Missouri, and Missouri's a difficult team to play with, man. Their depth, their style of play, you know, the way they play, it's not easy to beat that team. And they came in and again, we're talking about another group that did it with transfers, kind of cast-offs from other teams that you didn't expect. And they've done a hell of a job there, man. And they're fun to watch. And it's always fun when you see a school like Vandy that's hadn't been in a tournament in quite some time since Stallings was there. They've done a hell of a job, man.
Jerel?
Just to piggyback off of that, because I was thinking about our last conversation too. Dennis Gates is another guy who could be in the conversation. I feel like for Coach of the Year.
He won no SEC games a year ago.
He didn't win a game last year, which is crazy, right? But yeah, I had two games circled. The first one I felt like was too easy. I started to go with Tennessee, but I was like, it wasn't. Tennessee is a good enough team. I don't think anybody would hit
At home.
exploded.
Yeah.
They beat them at home. Yeah, but so I did go Iowa State though. I thought they had a really good bounce back performance. This is a team that's kind of been struggling. Obviously, they had some guys out the last couple of weeks, but they put it all together and they absolutely throttled Arizona at home. And this is the team where, like I said a few weeks back, I kind of jumped on the bandwagon. I thought this was a team that could possibly get to San Antonio as well too. And now that they kind of getting back to full strength, I thought this was a major statement game for them. They held Arizona to 30% from the field and like 18% from the three. Defensively, forced like close to 14 turnovers, and they shot 50% from the field and 50% from the three. So they got Momcilovic back, one of the best shooter on their team, and obviously we know Lipsy's rock solid, and they got Keyshawn Gilbert and Curtis Jones as well too. So I think that's a team that's kind of primed. That was just a momentum win for them, getting back on the right track going into the most important part of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Illinois. I mean, I know that they have had quite the year, and I don't like them. I don't like them, to be like totally candid with you. Like I hate the way they play.
You hate them.
I really, bro, like they're a hate watch for me. I think they're a hate watch for their own fans. Let's be real. I mean, you think the fans enjoy watching that team? I think there's no way. With the way they shoot the ball and never make them.
Say what you want, you're right. That probably is the best win of the weekend though.
Yeah, and then they went into Michigan and won.
Going to Michigan and whoop that ass. That's a big win. That is a big win.
And they did it, the way that they've been trying to do it, and failing at. Yeah, but it finally flipped for them. And okay, are we going to?
They're a dangerous team because we've always said it because of their talent, right? They always got the talent.
Right. I mean, their metrics have always been good, even as they continue to shit the bed. Their metrics have always been good. The talent has always been there. And so now we're going to say, well, they got over their various pandemics. They got over their injuries. So now, is this Illinois team one to, that's the conversation that we're going to start to have, I feel like, going into the Big Ten tournament, Jerel.
Underwood told y'all, if we just hit 5 more of those threes that we take it, it's a different game.
And it was.
He told y'all.
All right. So yeah, some definitely some good choices over the weekend. All right, RC, the age difference between Cooper Flagg, who, as you know, is he didn't even turn 18 until midway through the season. Does the age difference between Cooper and Johni Broome play a factor in picking your player of the year?
No, but I don't know if it will with some. Johni Broome is deserving of it. It's unfortunate. I think that if I had to say the reason I think Cooper Flagg will win, and I've said this before, I think Cooper Flagg will win because if you take Cooper Flagg off that Duke team, I think they struggle. And Auburn was able to maintain and steady the ship when Johni Broome missed the game as he got back from his ankle injury. So I think, honestly, that's the only difference for me where they would get my vote. It's a coin flip. I'd be okay with either guys winning it, but I do think that Auburn team is the most complete team in college basketball. And I think that hurts him as far as the National Player of the Year because I think, I don't think Duke can sustain a week without winning, playing or winning without Cooper Flagg.
How about you, Jerel?
Yeah, I think he hit it right on the head. First and foremost is age shouldn't play a factor. Really, and I know RC said it won't for him, but just like in anybody's decision at the end of the day, the award should go to the best player. And obviously, Johni Broome is more than deserving, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help his cause because, like RC spoke to, we actually got a chance to see Auburn without him. And still, they were able to flourish and beat some good teams and get wins. We have not seen it, a Duke without Cooper Flagg. And honestly, we don't have any idea how that would look or how many games they would win without him. So I think that doesn't work into their favor. But at the same time, it probably doesn't help either the fact that, they got the average age of their team is like the same as the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got a bunch of older guys on there. They got guys that have been in school for a long time. They got veteran guys. So I'm sure that hurts them to some extent in the fact that Duke is kind of flip flop. Cooper Flagg is essentially supposed to be a guy that's a senior in high school, and they got a group of other young guys with him that he's doing it with, and they're having the same level of success. So I'm sure it doesn't work in their favor at all. But that shouldn't play a factor.
Yeah, but I think it will though. It's kind of it shouldn't, but I think it because he'll just get rewarded. I mean, I think I could be totally wrong on this, but I just feel like the thinking is going to be this kid's going to be the first pick. He's going to be the first pick in the NBA draft. We'll give him the Freshman of the Year award and he'll live. But I don't know. He made a hell of a case today. I mean, there was really nothing he didn't do to the Demon Deacons. I mean, you want to go left.
Man, you ain't got to keep adding all that. You ain't got to add all that.
I'm just trying to give him some flowers, bro. I'm trying to give him some flowers.
You ain't got to do all that, man. He played well tonight.
I'm just
we
trying
got
to give him some
it.
flowers.
We hit that in the first 15 minutes of the show, man.
28, 8, and 7. It's a new audience, though. I mean,
RC said it's over, man. It's over.
He even passed up a couple threes. I mean, he did that for you, RC, out of respect, man. He said, "No, RC's a legend. I can't go too hard. Can't go too hard tonight." All right. Who is more scary as a 4 seed? We talked a little bit about Missouri or Arizona, RC.
Missouri or Arizona?
Yeah, as a 4 seed. Who's scarier?
I think Missouri is. I just think Missouri's style of play. They play with so many bodies. They throw so much at you. I just don't think people nationally is talking about them enough. You wouldn't want to. Nobody's going to want to play them at a neutral site somewhere with their style of play. And I'll tell you this: if they can get through opening weekend, you don't want to, to play them in, with a day of rest. That's a hard ass team to prepare for, right?
Yep.
So you don't want to play them with one game of prep because you're not going to do a whole lot physically, if anything physically. You're just going to end up showing your team a lot of film, and it's hard to show them, how hard they're going to have to play, the intensity level, the length of bodies, particularly if you're a team that don't have a lot of depth. That's not the team that you want to see. So I definitely would not want to play Missouri. I take Arizona over Missouri.
Jerel?
Yeah, I think the whole 1 day of rest was a great point too, RC, just because of the style of play. And I agree with you. I think Missouri is a team probably a little bit more scary than Arizona, and that's not a snub at Arizona because I still think that would be a scary team to kind of have to match up against. But we've seen that team go on lows at times where they're not as dominant. They don't get after the ball and attack and press you all game like Missouri. And at the end of the day, they don't have the same amount of bodies that they can throw at you, man, and that's going to be really important on short rests and quick turnarounds and things like that. And like RC said, it's going to be hard to kind of even duplicate that even in a practice scenario. So even if you do got time sometimes to prepare for them, it's not necessarily going to be a great look. So I think Missouri is going to be a team we're going to have to keep our eye on, and they're going to be a team that's going to surprise some people because, like he said, they just haven't spent a ton of time in the national spotlight, especially coming off of the year that they had last year. But really good group this year.
I'm gonna tell you. For me, the answer is Arizona, but I don't say that because I think they're better than Missouri, like day to day. I say that because like their ceiling is higher to me when they can hit it.
In what way?
But like I just feel like they have like Caleb Love is more capable of taking over a game. I like their guards defensively, and KJ Lewis and Jaden Bradley. Like I feel like when they can get it rolling, and then obviously you got the freshman there in Carter, but like they can come at you offensively and it can be a barrage. But the other side of that is they are just volatile. They're a volatile team. So their ups are high, their lows are low. So, but what scares me in the tournament is volatility. I mean, That's what.
So what you
like, 'cause
saying, dude? You tap dancing around the question. I
No,
don't get where you're
I'm
going.
not. I'm
Like,
not
what you
tapping.
doing?
I'm saying
You
that
trying to hedge your bet or something? What you
No,
doing?
I'm not trying to hedge. I'm saying that Arizona's best is better than Missouri's best, in my opinion. But it's not a guarantee that you get Arizona's best, in a given game. But because their best is better than Missouri, they scare me more. That's all I'm saying. I feel like with Missouri, I know exactly what they are. I know exactly what to expect. I don't know what to expect from Arizona. That scares me. That's all.
So why
they're
you pick 'em?
unpredictable? They're unpredictable. They could have a night where Caleb Love is 12% from the floor, and they could have a night where they don't miss. I mean, that scares me as a 4 seed.
Yeah, everybody can say that. Like, get it, man.
Yeah, but they're
answer.
but you know that their nature is more susceptible to that, more so than most teams.
Who do you trust? Who do you trust in the second round? If them playing a guy like Caleb Grill making shots, or Grill making shots, or Caleb Love making shots?
Well, let me ask you this: can Missouri do it away from Columbia? I mean, can we say that they are a consistent team away from home?
But my point is, those are all neutral site games anyway, so it doesn't matter. We don't. Everybody's kind of in that same
right.
You're not going to be pro or against in that aspect. And I mean, you play certain teams, they travel well, but in general, at those sites, you get your allotted tickets, and that's kind of it.
Right. No, I mean, look, I think Missouri is day-to-day better. I know I worded that in a weird way, but when Arizona's in the Elite Eight, I'm sending this to you. I'm sending this video to you, and I'm gonna say, this is what I meant. This is the shit I was talking about, man. All right, last one here. Is Michigan State RC the best chance for the Big Ten to finally win a championship?
I do like them this year. I think they're better. They're playing a lot faster this year, but I don't. And I've said it on record. Tom Izzo is my favorite coach, but I'm happy for him that they've been able to rebound, because there was so much talk that he lost a little bit on his fastball, and for them to respond and win the regular season Big Ten championship, it's pretty cool to see. But this team is a little different. I think this team, with his experience, he's a hell of a coach. They can do some damage in the tournament, but actually win it this year, no, I don't think it. That, like I've said before, I'm on record saying that there's about 6 to maybe 7 teams that can win it, and I don't know if Michigan State's one of those teams.
Jerel?
I agree. And to be honest with you, if I had to guess, I'm not even sure Michigan State is going to be the last team standing in the Big Ten, but I don't really have a whole lot of confidence in any Big Ten team winning it, because they haven't fared well in the tournament in years past, and obviously each year is its own. But just even with a team like that, I can definitely see those guys ended up with a tough draw or getting behind early in the game in the tournament, and kind of the wheels just coming off, man. Especially just throughout the course of the year, where you see the consistent shooting woes. Obviously, they do some other things where they play a little bit more closer to Tom Izzo style of teams, but just the offensive production at times just worries me, and those guys not consistently being able to make shots outside of the paint. But obviously, we'll see what happens come tournament time. But I'm not sure they're going to be the last team standing in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think it's a paradox, like you said, because I don't think anybody from the Big Ten is winning the championship. But I think Tom Izzo is doing a hell of a job. We didn't mention him either. I mean, he's doing a great job with that group. I mean, there's not a Jace Richardson is obviously coming on. He's become a different player as the season has gone on, but they're not just overwhelmingly talented as a group. And all they do is win. Like this stretch that they just got through, this 5-game stretch, I don't know how the hell they did it.
Impressive. Impressive.
Yeah, but they did it. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. I got to send RC some peak Caleb Love tape, so we're going to get that over to him. And then I don't
need to watch him in a Carolina uniform, man. I've seen him before. I know what he can do.
Can I send you a TikTok edit from Cooper Flagg's performance tonight? Then can I send you at least?
Don't do that.
It'll be fun, man. It'll be all love.
Don't do that. Don't keep disrespecting my deeks like that, man.
Hey, because
prayers to my man Kyrie. Let's hope it's just a knee sprain, man. That injury tonight
Absolutely
looked real ugly, man. So I don't want to wake up tomorrow, get that MRI done, and I'm sure they did it, and I hope it's just a knee sprain, man. That was a scary thing tonight, seeing Kyrie go down.
Yeah, man. The game needs Kyrie, man. There is no question about it. But listen, that's going to do it for us tonight here on the Afters. Thanks for tuning in. For Randolph, Childress, for Jerel, McNeal, I'm John Martin. Make sure you always keep it locked here, especially in this month, right? This is the month of all months to keep it locked on Field of 68 for the best college basketball coverage in the world. Have a good night.